I told my boyfriend that providing was his duty and refused to pay half the rent after getting my dream job. He still doesn't see that even if I make money, his role should always be to provide for me. There are certain fundamental pillars in a relationship, unwritten truths that define the roles and responsibilities of each person. They are the invisible foundations on which a solid couple is built. And I have just discovered that my boyfriend, Alejandro, with whom I have shared the last 2 years of my life, not only doesn't understand these basic principles, but is actively trying to demolish them with a hammer of stinginess and twisted logic. He is asking me to renounce my femininity and his masculinity, and all over a matter of money. It is such a profound offense to the very nature of our relationship that I am still in shock. When Alejandro and I decided to move in together, our agreement was clear and natural, based on logic and tradition. He had a very well-paying job at a technology company, and I worked part-time at an art gallery, a job I was passionate about, but which barely covered my personal expenses. Therefore, the agreement was obvious. He, as the man and the main economic provider, would take care of the big expenses. He would pay the rent for our beautiful apartment, the utility bills, the grocery shopping. My contribution, in addition to my small contribution for minor expenses, was of another nature. I turned our apartment into a home. I was in charge of the decoration, the organization, of creating a haven of peace and beauty to which he could return after a stressful day. It was a perfect balance, a synergy. He provided, I cared for. This system was not a whim of mine. It is the system that has worked for centuries. A man feels fulfilled by providing for his woman. It gives him a purpose, a validation of his masculinity, and a woman feels safe and cared for, which allows her to flourish in her role as the creator of the home. I never asked Alejandro to be my ATM. I simply assumed that he understood and embraced his natural role in the couple. And for 2 years, that's how it was. I was proud to be his partner, proud of the team we formed, each one shining in their respective area of expertise. The situation changed 3 months ago. After years of trying, I finally got my dream job, senior curator at a prestigious contemporary art museum. The position was not only a recognition of my talent and effort, but it came with an excellent salary, one that was suddenly very comparable to Alejandro's. I was euphoric. I thought he would be incredibly proud of me. I thought we would celebrate my success as a victory for our team, and we did it first. But I had no idea that in his mind my success was not a bonus for our life, but an excuse for him to abdicate his responsibilities. The first few weeks after starting my new job were wonderful. For the first time in a long time, I had my own money, a substantial income that I didn't have to put towards bills. I started to enjoy little luxuries that I couldn't afford before: designer clothes, beauty treatments, weekend getaways with my friends. It was my reward, the fruit of my labor. I continued to contribute to the minor household expenses as always, and the rest of my salary was for me, for my savings, for my whims, for my independence. Alejandro continued to pay the rent and bills as always. The system was still working, or so I thought. The conversation that poisoned everything happened last week. It was a Tuesday night, a normal night. We were having dinner and he, with a calmness I now recognize as premeditated, brought up the subject. He told me he was incredibly proud of my success and that he loved seeing me so happy and fulfilled. And then he dropped the bomb. He said that now that we both had similar incomes, it seemed fair to him that we readjust our finances. He proposed that starting next month we start splitting the rent and main bills 50%. I stared at him, expecting it to be the start of a bad joke, but his expression was completely serious. He was being serious. Split the rent 50%? The idea was so foreign, so contrary to the nature of our relationship, that I didn't know what to say. I asked him if he was kidding, and he, with exasperating logic, told me no, that it was the most equitable thing. He said it no longer made sense for him to carry the entire financial burden when I was perfectly capable of taking on half. I tried to explain to him how wrong his approach was. I said, Alejandro, don't you understand? Just because I earn money now doesn't nullify your role as the man of the house. Providing is your responsibility, it's part of who you are. I explained that my money was mine, a bonus, the result of my personal success. It was not meant to pay mundane bills. It was meant to improve our quality of life, to allow us luxuries, not to cover the basic needs that he had always covered. I told him his proposal seemed stingy and that I felt punished for my own success. My attempt to make him see the situation from a perspective of roles and principles failed miserably. He didn't see roles, he only saw numbers on a spreadsheet. The discussion turned into a philosophical debate about the nature of feminism and modern masculinity. He accused me of wanting to have it all, the independence of a modern woman with the sponsorship of a traditional man. He said it was hypocritical of me to want equality at work, but not at home. What a ridiculous argument. It's not about equality in the sense that everything is divided mathematically. It's about a balance of roles where each person contributes according to their nature and strengths. I told him his proposal made me feel that my success, instead of being a source of pride for him, had become a burden, as if he had been eagerly waiting for the day I earned more so he could take a weight off his shoulders. I asked him if his love for me was conditional on my financial dependence. I told him I felt as if he were degrading me from being the woman he cared for to simply being his roommate. The intimacy of our relationship was being threatened by the cold logic of a rental agreement. He, of course, denied everything. He defended himself by saying he saw me as his equal and that treating me as an equal meant sharing responsibilities equally. He said that continuing to pay for everything while I earned a similar salary made him feel like he was being used, like he was just an ATM. Used? After I have spent years managing our home, creating a perfect space for him, sacrificing my own earning potential, the audacity of his victimhood left me speechless. The discussion ended in a stalemate. I flatly refused to pay half the rent. I told him it was a matter of principle, that I couldn't be with a man who didn't understand his fundamental duty to provide. I told him that if money was more important to him than keeping me happy and safe, then we had a much bigger problem. He, for his part, stood firm in his fair and equitable position. The conversation ended with an icy tension, with both of us feeling deeply misunderstood and resentful. I am in a state of shock and indignation. Several days have passed and the situation has only gotten worse. Alejandro, seeing that I was not going to give in, has decided to take matters into his own hands in the most childish and petty way possible. He has started a financial cold war in our own home. Earlier this week, he transferred to my bank account the exact amount of half the rent and the month's bills with the reference, your corresponding part. Please make the payment to the landlord. I refuse to touch that money. It's a matter of principle and, as a result, he has only paid his half. The landlord has already called us confused. I had to make up an excuse about a problem with the bank, but the humiliation doesn't end there. Alejandro has stopped doing the weekly grocery shopping. Now he only buys his own food. I open the refrigerator and see little post-it notes with his name on the milk carton, on his package of ham, as if we were living in a student dorm. Last night we ordered Thai food. When the delivery guy arrived, Alejandro paid his exact share in cash and went to the living room with his food, leaving me to pay my share to the delivery guy, who looked at me with a face of not understanding anything. It's such an incredibly passive, aggressive, so humiliating behavior. He's trying to force my hand, to make my life so uncomfortable that I have no choice but to give in to his ridiculous demands. This is no longer an argument about money, it's a battle for the soul of our relationship. He is trying to destroy the provider-caretaker dynamic that has worked so well for us for years. He is punishing me for my success, trying to drag me down to his level of concern for mundane bills. He doesn't realize that in doing so he is killing the admiration I felt for him. How can I desire a man who counts pennies and hands me the bill for half a pad thai? He's not a provider, he's not a man of the house, he's becoming a mere roommate, and I didn't fall in love with a roommate. The climax of this farce happened last night. I had planned a dinner at home with my two best friends. It's something I do often, and normally Alejandro takes care of buying the wine and special ingredients as part of his hosting duties. The day before I gave him the shopping list, assuming that despite our Cold War, basic decency and social appearances would prevail. In the afternoon, I came back from work and found the kitchen empty. He hadn't bought anything. When I asked him, He answered without looking up from his laptop. "Oh, dinner with your friends. Great. I've sent you via Bizum a third of the estimated cost of the ingredients. Since there are 3 of you, that's fair, right? I'll be having dinner out tonight." I stared at him with the shopping list in my hand, completely paralyzed with rage. He was actively sabotaging my social life, humiliating me in a calculated way, and all with a condescending smile and a twisted logic of justice. The argument that followed was the final one. I screamed at him that he was a cheapskate, a saboteur, that he was trying to isolate me. I told him I couldn't believe that the man with whom I had built a life had turned into this accounting monster. And he finally answered me with the same coldness. He told me he wasn't sabotaging anything, that he was simply applying the independence that I so much claimed for my money. He said, "You want the benefits of being a financially independent woman without any of the responsibilities? You want your money to be yours, but my money to be ours? I'm sorry, Isabel, but the real world doesn't work like that. If we are equals in everything." And at that moment, I knew it was over. His inability to understand the beauty and logic of traditional roles, his obsession with a mathematical and soulless equality, has destroyed everything we had. I can't be with a man who sees a relationship as an Excel spreadsheet. I can't respect a man who, instead of feeling proud to provide, feels resentful about it. He is not the man I thought he was. And I don't want to spend my life with a roommate. I want a life partner. Popular comments from Reddit. Anonymous User 1. Your post is a fascinating example of how you can pick and choose feminism and tradition to suit your own interests. You want the financial independence and empowerment of a modern woman, but you expect your partner to fulfill the provider role of the 1950s. And when he asks you to be true equals, sharing the financial burdens now that you can, you call him stingy and unmanly. You can't have it all. Your boyfriend is not the problem. Your hypocrisy is. Reply from the OP. It's not hypocrisy, it's a balance. My professional success does not make me a man. I am still a woman, and in a heterosexual couple I believe that the man has a biological and social role as a provider. My money is an extra, a bonus that should improve our life, not become an excuse for him to abandon his duties. Anonymous User 2. Your boyfriend is not punishing you for your success. He is reacting to your success by asking you to become a true team of equals. And your response is outrage. What he is offering you is a modern and equitable relationship. What you are demanding is that he continue to be the bank while you become a client with your own source of income. His behavior with the groceries is not childish. It is a practical and brutal lesson to show you how ridiculous your own position is. Reply from the OP. It's not a lesson, it's passive-aggressive behavior. A real man would have sat down to talk about his feelings. He wouldn't have started putting post-it notes on the food. And I don't want a modern and equitable relationship if it means turning our love into a 50-50 transaction. That's not romantic, it's depressing. Anonymous User 3. How can I desire a man who counts pennies and hands me the bill for half a pad thai? And I ask you, how can a man desire a woman who, the moment she starts earning a good salary, the first thing she thinks is not great, now we can build our future together faster, but great, now I have more money for my whims while he continues to pay for everything? Your mentality is incredibly selfish. He hasn't become stingy. You have revealed your true nature. Reply from the OP. It's not selfish. It's logical. My money is the result of my effort. His money is the result of his and his role. The one he accepted when he started this relationship was to be the provider. The fact that I am successful now does not change the original terms of the agreement. He is the one trying to renegotiate the contract retroactively. Update 1. A month has passed since Alejandro started his ridiculous financial strike, a month of living like roommates who hate each other. The tension at home was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The humiliation of having to pay my half of everything, of seeing my own money evaporate on bills and food, was a daily torture. Every payment with my card was a reminder of his pettiness. I realized I couldn't go on living like this, but I wasn't willing to give in to his blackmail either, so I decided to take a drastic step, one that in my mind would force him to see the reality of what he was losing. I packed my bags. I told him that if we were going to live like roommates, I'd rather do it with one who didn't look at me with resentment. I told him I was moving to an apartment on my own so he could enjoy his 50-50 life with someone else. It wasn't a bluff. Well, maybe a 90% bluff. I expected that seeing me pack my bags, facing the reality of my absence, he would panic. I expected him to break down, apologize, and beg me to stay, promising that everything would go back to the way it was before. It would be the crisis we needed for him to react and reassume his role. But his reaction was once again disconcerting and exasperatingly calm. While I was packing my clothes into suitcases, crying dramatically, he sat on the bed and started looking for apartments on his laptop. Not for himself, for me. He started telling me in an irritatingly efficient tone, "Look, this one has good light and is close to your new job. This other one is more expensive, but includes community fees." He was helping me leave. He was actively participating in the dissolution of our partnership. There were no pleas, no drama, just a logistical efficiency that made me feel like he was organizing his own liberation. Not only did he not fight for me, but he opened the door for me and helped me pack. Popular comments from Reddit about the update. 1. Anonymous User 4. Your bluff has been one of the most spectacular failures I have ever read. You tried to manipulate him with the threat of leaving, and he, instead of begging, called your bluff and helped you organize your own exit. He has shown you in the clearest possible way that he would rather be alone than in a relationship on your transactional terms. It's not that he's not fighting for you, it's that he has stopped seeing anything to fight for. Reply from the OP. It's not that there's nothing to fight for, it's that he's a coward. He was afraid of confrontation. He was afraid of the effort of maintaining the relationship. He chose the easy way out, the path of surrender. His help in finding me an apartment was not an act of kindness. It was an act of passivity, of wanting the problem, me, to disappear as quickly as possible. Anonymous User 5. Isabel, you're behaving like a child who threatens to run away from home and expects her parents to beg her to stay. And your boyfriend, instead of playing your game, has acted like an adult and said, "Okay, if that's what you want, I'll help you find a new place." He has taken all the power out of your drama, and his calmness is what is driving you crazy, because you can't control him with your emotions. Reply from the OP. Of course it's driving me crazy. His calmness is abnormal. It's the reaction of someone who doesn't care about you. A man who loves you fights, shouts, despairs. He doesn't look for apartments on Idealista. His lack of passion is the definitive proof that he never truly loved me. Anonymous User 6. Every time you try a new tactic to make him see reason, he responds with a calm logic that disarms you. And every time, your conclusion is that he is childish, petty, or a coward. Doesn't it occur to you that maybe he is simply being consistent with his vision of a relationship of equals, and that you are the one who refuses to accept it? Reply from the OP. His vision of a relationship of equals is a fraud. It's an excuse to be stingy. A real man wouldn't want his wife to pay half the rent. He would be ashamed. His vision is just a justification for his lack of masculinity. Final update. A year has passed, a year since I moved into my own apartment, waiting every day for a call of regret that never came. Life alone is expensive. My salary, which seemed so huge when it was just for my whims, evaporates every month on rent, bills, food. The luxuries have disappeared. My independence feels suspiciously like a constant struggle. Alejandro and I finalized our separation months ago. It was all very civilized, very cold. We divided the things we had in common without arguing. He never mentioned money again. He just moved on. And I, for my part, have been stuck with a resentment that has become my most faithful roommate. The news that has put the final nail in the coffin of this story, the one that has solidified my conviction that the world is an unfair place, reached me last week. A mutual friend, with a funereal face, told me. Alejandro has a new girlfriend. They've been dating for about 6 months, and to my surprise, she's not a millionaire who can afford to pay for his life. She's a high school teacher, a woman with a career and a respectable salary, but certainly lower than his. But the part that destroyed me was what came next. My friend told me that they're incredibly happy and that they're a team of equals in every sense, that they share everything 50-50ths even though he earns more. that they are saving together to buy an apartment, and that she is as excited as he is to contribute to their future. That he admires her precisely for that, for her independence and her desire to be an equal partner. And there is the definitive proof: hypocrisy in its purest form. The problem was never the money. The problem was never the 50-50ths. The problem was me. He didn't want an equal partner. He wanted a woman he could control with his false generosity. And when I started to have my own power, he couldn't stand it. With this new girlfriend who earns less than him, he can continue to feel like the man of the house, the provider, even though she pays her share. It's a farce of equality that allows him to keep his ego intact. He hasn't found an equal. He has found a woman who is willing to play his game, to pretend an equality that isn't real. He has found a roommate with benefits, not a true partner. And I, who demanded that he be a real man, have been punished for it. That is the only lesson I have learned. Popular comments from Reddit on the final update. Anonymous user. 1. Your ability to twist a success story of an equitable relationship into a farce of equality is astounding. He has found exactly what he told you he wanted. A partner who wants to be a partner in every sense. It's not that she pretends equality, she lives it. The difference between her and you is that she sees contribution as an act of teamwork, while you saw it as a degradation. Reply from the app: it's a farce because equality isn't real if one earns much more than the other. He is still the dominant power in the relationship. She is simply willing to accept the illusion of equality in exchange for her security. It's a different form of submission, more modern, but submission nonetheless. Anonymous user 7. My professional success, instead of bringing her more freedom, has trapped her in an accounting nightmare. This was your original complaint, and now you realize it's your reality. The difference is that Alejandro and his new partner seem to see that accounting not as a nightmare, but as the basis of their partnership. It's not the money that's toxic, it's the attitude towards money. And your attitude, the "my money is mine, your money is ours" attitude, was what poisoned everything. Reply from the app: my attitude is not toxic, it's traditional. And yes, I believe a man should be happy to support his partner. His new girlfriend has stolen that joy from him, that opportunity to feel like a true provider. She hasn't freed him, she has financially castrated him. Anonymous user 8. This story is a tragedy of misplaced principles. You clung to an idea of roles so rigid that you couldn't adapt when your own life changed. And now you are alone, resentful, and blaming your ex for finding happiness in the same relationship model that you rejected with contempt. Your conclusion is not one of wisdom, it is one of bitterness. You continue to be the martyr of values that no one else seems to share. Reply from the app: maybe. Or maybe I'm just one of the few people who still believe in something. And if that makes me a martyr, so be it. I'd rather be a martyr for traditional values than a happy participant in this farce of modern equality.